last week, and she was using one of these, and this works out really good. So I like this.
Hello, everyone. This is the 5th Epical Revelation Fellowship. I'm Reverend Dr. Roger Paul. Today is September 1st, 2013. Can you believe it?
I don't know where the year went. Unbelievable.
And tonight, we're going to continue our study on the Foreword, section 4, I believe it is, Universe Reality. And we're on 410, paragraph 10, and that's item number 4, personal and impersonal. Okay. Very tough. Okay. So let's get started. Let's say a little prayer to get started, and we'll get going here. Roy, would you like to bless the meeting for us today?
Thank you again, Heavenly Father, for allowing us to come together and study your plan for our destiny. Thank you for friends and fellowship. Thank you for our Creator Son, Jesus Christ Michael, who came down and showed us the way. And we thank you for this Urantia book, Father, for the inspiration and all that it gives us to keep us going in our daily struggles in this life. As we look forward to the blessed future that you have, Father, we ask that you just continue to encourage us and let us be encouragement to our fellow brothers and sisters. In all things, we just give you praise and we just say hallelujah to your name. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen. I wanted to show y'all this. This just came out. Larry Mullins, I'm sure y'all recognize the name, who wrote the, what is it, the History of the Urantia book. And his wife, Joan Bateson Mullins, just published this book. And it is very good.
It's absolutely awesome.
It takes the pictures of Franco Zeffirelli's movie Jesus of Nazareth all the way through the book, and they made this like in a chronicle. It's like a newspaper, and it chronicles the entire life of Jesus. You know, paraphrasing many places the Urantia book, and it's got lots and lots of pictures and things, and it simplifies even the life of Jesus to the point a 5th grader can understand it. You know, so it's great for kids. I believe I got this online for 20-something. This is the paperback. I think the hardback cover's a little more expensive, about $25, something like that. And you can get it on Amazon. Oh yeah, it's worth it. I'm going to try to buy a couple cases and give them away as Christmas
You know, I was
presents.
just going to say, would that be a good evangelism tool?
Oh, it really would be.
See, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
It kind of introduces
Because
people
this,
to the
for
Urantia
someone
book.
as awesome as it is, but this for someone who hasn't heard of it is
No.
intense.
This is a great starting
Get it.
place. And
That's what I was thinking.
I really like Larry's approach to the things he's done. If you haven't read the History of the Urantia book, that's another one that you really need to pick up and get.
So he's got a website to go to? He does
Actually, I put a link on both of our websites. It's up in the right-hand corner. You'll see a picture of the book. You just click on the picture. It takes you to his website. Okay. And I wrote him and asked him if I could put a link up there for his book, because when I heard about it, I thought, well, this is just
And so
wonderful.
we get to pay him directly? He self-published?
No, actually, he's selling it through Amazon.
Okay.
You can get it through Amazon, but you can, if you want a large amounts of them, you can contact him, and he has a price for large amounts. So,
His website's on
so, and I don't know if
Probably
they sell
easier
them
to give people than the
Amazon.
Ranch book because
Yeah,
it
that's
is.
why I say 2,097 pages. They just kind of get foggy.
Well, I don't know if you
Eyes
were,
rolling.
remember 1977 when this movie came out. It was probably one of the best versions of Jesus' life when it came out. You know, of course, it's completely New Testament, but this, he takes those pictures and he expounds on them. Even things like the broadcast, the universe broadcast of what's the message here you go, interplanetary bulletin. Unconfirmed reports have been received that a small planet on the fringes of the Milky Way galaxy has been chosen as the site for the bestowal of Jesus, our beloved Creator Son. You know, things like that, and it's that way all the way through.
They quote the book a lot.
They quote the book a lot. They paraphrase some things. You know, they try to keep it right in the middle between the New Testament and your Rancho book somewhere, and it's just a wonderful reference. Got great pictures too. Y'all probably recognize one like that. I've shown y'all one like that before. Jesus' trip to all over the human race. Remember that? You know, when he went to Rome. You know,
Around the Mediterranean.
Around the Mediterranean and stuff. So it's got a lot of different things in it. But y'all can look at this if you want to later today. But if y'all want to, we could all get together and order, you know,
I would love to.
large
Yeah.
numbers of them.
I would love to do that.
Yeah.
Go in
All at the same time.
with you on that.
Yeah. I think it'd be a great thing.
We probably should just make a list of how many books we want to order.
Yeah, we can all have them set the same spot. And, you know, I'm always here, so I see you for you.
And we're getting hard bits too.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be.
And that's.
It's a great Christmas gift
Yeah.
for folks, you know. I keep thinking, what a great time to
No,
put it together.
I've irritated people that way.
I have two, but with this book, it's so, it's.
You read it already?
Is that
Oh, yeah, I've read the whole, I have the regular book.
Let me see that real quick.
And then I've got the movie at home too. I
Okay.
mean, we've had it since it came out. And, but this is just beautiful because children,
Right.
you can read this to your children.
Yeah.
And it's written so well that it's so smooth, it's non-controversial. I mean, it doesn't, say it doesn't point at anything different. You just read it as if you're reading a wonderful story. And it's just, it's not challenging and it's very friendly for people that are unfamiliar with the Rancho book or who or ones that have actually studied it. It's just.
Do you ever think that mainstream churches and religion will ever start to incorporate? I mean, because that seems like it's an incorporation of the Rancho book in the Bible, right?
Yeah.
Do you think that mainstream religious churches will ever start doing that? I mean,
Oh, sure. There's secondary works out there now. If you go on the internet, there's several secondary works that have been published already. The problem is this. The hardcore early Rancho believers want to keep it as pure as possible. So they get real nervous when secondary works that aren't exactly, don't quote the book exactly the way it is. You know, they don't want people to get the impression of something that's incorrect, because that's the whole point of the Rancho book, is that it's supposed to be truth, right? And so when secondary works come out, they get a little bit nervous. And there was a big debate for years and years, especially back in the 70s, about a couple groups of people that wanted to break the book apart into sections, you know, the 4 sections, and that caused a big controversy.
You know, but that's, all of that stuff is going to happen. It's the exact same thing that happened with the Bible.
Yeah.
And what
Exactly.
people objected to,
Exactly.
you know,
It is.
Bible commentaries and you know, separate teachings on the separate books and things like that.
Yeah.
All that is going to happen. It's going to
Yeah,
happen.
it's inevitable.
It's just a matter of time.
That's right.
That's
But we have some real hardcore people out there
Right.
that want to keep it as pure as possible, and I understand.
Yeah,
I do,
absolutely.
you know.
We can understand that.
The best thing I think we can do as a group is try to teach directly from the book as much as possible, you know. And then I think this is wonderful. I think this is a fantastic idea. Simply because, number one, it bridges the gap between
Right.
the church.
and that's why I was saying
And
that. That's exactly why I
People
was saying.
love pictures.
And
Right.
what a wonderful storybook for your children,
Yes.
you know, because it's so close to the Rancho book, and it puts it in a format that's very, very short synopsises of the different things. So you can take one little thing a night, you know, and read to your children or something. And that's just what a great idea, you know. Now, if this could be made into an actual children's book, that would be even better. But this is, I think, the step toward in the right direction. I really do. So, anyway, I think it's just a great, wonderful idea. I give it to Larry and Joan for putting it out there, you know, and they're taking that big leap. And what's interesting is they've gotten good support through the foundation for it. You know, if you go out and read the information on it, they've gotten real good support for the information, so that people understand it and stuff. So, okay, so let's go with paragraph 410.4. You know where we are? What?
14:4.
410.4.
Personal and personal.
Yeah.
In person.
Yeah.
Okay, 4, personal and impersonal. Deity expansion, personality expression, and universe evolution are forever conditioned by the Father free will act, which forever separate the mind, spirit, personal meaning, and values of actuality and potentiality, centering in the eternal Son from those things which center and inheres in the eternal isle of paradise.
Okay, so we got personal and impersonal here. We know what they're talking about here now, don't we? You know, we have the Father's personality circuit, right? And we have the eternal Son's spirit circuit, don't we? We also have the eternal Spirit has the mind circuit, right? So these are the personal aspects of what they're talking about. What would be the impersonal? How about paradise? Paradise is impersonal. Paradise is not a deity. It's an absolute, right? It's where all matter comes from. So that's what they're talking about here. So they're saying here that the universe evolution are forever conditioned by the Father's free will act. Do you see that there? So this is what's happening in all the evolution of the universe is happening because of the Father's will, right? It's His free will that these things happen. Okay? And what's happening is they take actuality and turn it into potentialities, right? The potentialities suck, really, things into actual being, if you think about it, right? Actuality being things that are today. The potentiality, we know about that now too. That's the outer space levels, right?
Yeah.
Potentiality. What other kind of potentialities would we have? We would have potentiality in our own local universe, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
When you don't have a planet and the Creator Sons are still creating a planet, isn't there potential there for for a new planet to evolve, right? And with that new planet evolves, what else do you have potential for? New beings, right? So this potentiality of new beings and new space and new worlds and things like that turns into actuality by the acts of the free will of the Creator Sons and the Father, right? Okay, let's keep going. Linda, would you take the next one, please?
Paradise is the term inclusive of the personal and non-personal focal absolutes of all phases of universe reality. Paradise, properly qualified, may connote any and all forms of reality, deity, divinity, personality, and energy, spiritual, mindal, or material. All share paradise as the place of origin, function, and destiny as regards values, meanings, and factual existence.
Okay, so what are they talking about here? Remember we talked about last week how in paradise it's hard to separate, or was that Wednesday? I'm not sure. Separate spiritual values. Or where was I? Okay, we were talking about how in paradise it's hard to separate spiritual values from material things, right? Okay, and that's what they're talking about here. The term paradise is exclusive of the personal and non-personal focal absolutes of all phases of universe reality. So when they say paradise as a term, they're not just talking about the isle, are they? If they are just talking about the isle, they usually qualify themselves, don't they? But here they're talking about all forms of spiritual, mindal, and material energy on paradise.
So the beings,
so the beings there too, right? Okay. And they go on to say paradise as the place of origin for what? Function and destiny as regards to values, meanings, and factual existence. So everything in the universe is based on paradise. The beings, the material, the spiritual, and the mindal, right? And what else? Personality itself.
It's the whole complete pattern of...
The whole ball of wax. That's right. That's right. So we got to keep that in mind when we start talking about paradise. Okay. Let's keep going here. You take the next one.
The Isle of Paradise.
Paradise not otherwise qualified is the absolute of the material gravity control of the first source and center. Paradise is motionless, being the only stationary thing in the universe of universes. The Isle of Paradise has a universe location but no position in space. This eternal isle is the actual source of the physical universes, past, present, and future. The nuclear isle of light is a deity derivative, but it is hardly deity. Neither are the material creations a part of deity, they are a consequence.
Okay, so we know there's no deity in paradise then, don't we? Right? Let's take a look at something here. If I can get my mouse forward. Where are we? Let's go to this. This is, remember when we did the studies on the Master Universe, the origins of universe destinies? This is the slides from that. And for y'all at home that are watching, you can go out there online and go to any, we had an 11-week study on the origin of the Master Universe, and these slides are out underneath that 11-week study. You can find them pretty easily. But this is slide 77 from that. And what I wanted to point out about this is this. This is what they're talking about paradise here. Now remember, you have the Father, Son, and Spirit circuits on the outside of this, right? Okay. And it talks about here how paradise has 3 grand spheres, right? And on the very center of this is the area of the most holy. Okay? See that right there, with that white? All right? And it's a vast, vast reason they talk about this. This is so huge it's almost beyond comprehension, right? It takes up all the space of all the Master Universe. It's as big as that. All right, so this would be what? The dwelling place of God the Father. All right, let's go on the slides a little bit and get a couple more of these. It's the divine residence. And we saw this a little bit last week. This is what they're talking about right here, right? Deity presence. Now, who else would be in that deity presence area?
The Son.
The Son,
And
the Son and the Spirit, the Trinity, right? Right? And then we have the most holy sphere, okay, and which is part of that, right? And the paradise citizens, Havona natives, okay? And then we have the natives of the 7 super universe, and we haven't even gotten out to the outer parts of paradise, have we? Okay, so that's at the center. That's where we'll be going. All right, so let's go down a little bit more. We'll get a couple more of these slides real quick. This is a cross section. Remember, we talked about there's an upper paradise and a neither paradise, right? And all the space where all the planets are out to both sides, right? Like a big donut almost. Okay? Get you a picture in your mind. What I really want to, and this is another view of it, this is the 7 master spirits. Remember we talked about this last week a little bit, right? Upper paradise, peripheral paradise, and neither paradise. Okay, and this is peripheral paradise. This is the side, and this is neither paradise. This is what we call the zone of infinity, and this is where what? It emanates from. We're going to get to this in the next paragraph.
Gravity.
Gravity, right? All the energy circuits, they leave from the neither part of paradise, right? And come back where? To the upper part of paradise. Okay? You have that, a pretty good concept in your mind of that. You have a pretty good concept. Okay? And that's another view of it. Space respiration. Let's go on. I want to show you one more picture here. There it is. This is a great illustration here, because what it shows is this. If this is paradise, okay, see how large it is? This is the rest of the super universe. This is actually probably 100 times larger than that, if you can imagine that. Okay? This first section, these are the worlds of the Father, the Son, and the Spirit. Okay? And then what comes after that? The Havona circuits, right? And after that is the first ring of what? The anti-gravity bodies. Okay? And that goes all the way around Havona. Okay? And then we have the second ring of anti-gravity bodies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Outer gravity bodies. Now what do these do? These keep the universes from collapsing in on themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then we have the super universes. See this little bitty box?
Yep.
That's us.
That's all of
That's all 7 super universes, goes all the way around paradise.
Oh, really?
Yeah. If you look at a cross section, that's what it would look like. See how small space we are compared to the rest of the universe? Compare that to Havona. Look at this.
Right.
The first circuit of Havona looks bigger, almost as big as the 7 super universes, doesn't it?
Exactly.
You know? Kind of interesting, isn't it? Okay, and then we have the first outer space level, the second outer space level, the third and the fourth. Notice how it gets progressively larger as we go out. Now keep in mind that he set this up just on going out each side. This actually goes out like this, doesn't it?
Right.
Okay, so these fill up this area.
Right.
And that's what they're talking about, this Maltese cross look, right? All right. Now, if gravity comes out of paradise, it goes down, comes back around, and comes back in here, right? And those 3 circuits we were talking about earlier, they do the same thing. Now let's go back here and we'll get to the right chart. I'll show you one more thing before we keep reading. You have a pretty good idea of what we're talking about today. These are all the slides we were going to get to, we never did when we were studying the other. Okay, remember this chart? Okay. This is what we're talking about here today, is paradise, right here. So space originates just below neither paradise, okay? This is space or rarefied paradise matter is pulled or stretched away by the unqualified absolute to the edge of the universe. You see where the unqualified absolute? Remember we were talking about how the unqualified absolute creates like a void? Okay? And that's part of this function. It pulls that paradise gravity and that monada out to the edges of the all past the super universes out into infinity, right? Then what happens? The physical gravity goes all the way out, all the way through all the super universes, all past all 4 outer space levels, and then comes back as the physical gravity circuit and an energy to return to paradise. You see that there? Now I'm going to hit 2 more here and go back. Now we just talked about this. This is the unqualified absolute, right?
Mm-hmm.
That pulls us out. And it's part of this experiential destiny of absolutes, right? Now you see these 3 lines? Do y'all remember what those were? Let's go back to
Those are
slide.
the circuits of the,
That's the right.
the Son and the Infinite Spirit.
Those are the circuits, that's right. Of the Paradise Father, the personality circuit, the spirit circuit of the eternal Son, and the mind circuit of the infinite Spirit, right? And it's all part of this. And if we look right here, you see this green line? Connects to the blue line and the tan line. What's the blue line? It goes to the Son. The tan line goes to the conjoint actor, right? Infinite Spirit. And it turns green here. Do we remember what the green was over there? It's paradise. It's the matter part, right? So if we look at this green line, it goes down through all, this chart, it goes through all reality. Okay? And then it comes back to this up here,
Into the top.
into the top. So it encompasses all existence, right? What's it controlled by? It's controlled partly by the Son and partly by the Infinite Spirit, right? And matter. So the matter of paradise, or the monada of paradise, is controlled by the Infinite Spirit and the Son. And whose will is in control of that? The Father, right? So you see the connection there, right? So let's read the rest of the way through this and see how all this comes to be. Okay, would you take the next one here?
Paradise is not a creator. It is a unique controller of many universe activities, far more of a controller than a reactor. Throughout the material universes, Paradise influences the reactions and conduct of all beings having to do with force, energy, and power. But paradise itself is unique, exclusive, and isolated in the universes. Paradise represents nothing, and nothing represents paradise. It is neither a force nor a presence. It is just paradise.
Okay, is that confusing enough? We'll have somebody popping in here that wants to join us. Hold on. Nope. Okay. All right. So paradise is just paradise, right? What did I do here?
Remember when,
It's
Oh,
only
okay.
happened, but
Oh, okay.
the other half's
All right. So it is not a creator. It is a unique controller of many universe activities. So it's part of the control, right? Paradise is part of that which controls all matter. Anything to do with matter. Gravity, it also helps control what? The gravity circuits, the spiritual circuits, and the, what else? The mind circuits. Plus probably has something to do with the personality circuits because it has to do with the Father, right? So it's a material control mechanism, in a sense, right? But it goes on to say, it has paradise influence of the reactions and conducts of all beings having to do with force, energy, and power. We just studied these in the Supreme. Who are those? The universe power directors, right? Master physical controllers. See how it all comes together? They are under whom? The infinite spirit, are they not? Along with Majeston for the reflectivity. Okay? So if the power if paradise influences and has to do with these beings, paradise influences them also, doesn't it? So the material that they are manipulating and the power centers, the power structures that they are manipulating and setting up for future universes and controlling our current universe and all that, all has to do with paradise, doesn't it? So are we part of paradise? In essence, we are. In a sense, we are. Because we come from paradise, don't we? All the matter that is out there, okay? Then it goes on to say that it's unique and exclusive, isolated in the universe. There's only one paradise. There's no other, right? And then it represents nothing, and nothing represents paradise. It is a force. It is neither a force or a presence. It is just paradise. In other words, we can't describe it as a force, can we? And we can't describe it as a presence that has no personality. It is unique to all other things. Okay, so that's why it's just paradise. Right? Okay, let's keep moving here. Okay, personality realities. We actually got out of that section. Okay. Huh?
We're on page 8.
We're on page 8. Boy, we're cooking, aren't we? Okay, Roy, would you take the next one?
Okay, number 5, personality reality.
Mm-hmm.
Personality is a level of deified reality and range from the mortal and midway levels of the higher mind activation of worship and wisdom up through the moral and spiritual to the attainment of finality of personality status. That is the evolutionary ascent of mortals and kindred creature personality. But there are numerous other orders of universe personalities.
Okay. Personality. Who is the God of personality?
the Father.
The Father, right? Who gives out personality to all beings?
Father.
The Father. That's right. He reserves that right to only himself, right? So do the Creator Sons give us personality? No. Right? Do the Creator Sons give us mind? No. What do the Creator Sons give us? It's the extension of the spiritual values of the Son. Do you see that? Okay? Son is spirit. Okay, so if you think about it,
And this part of us was created by them, right?
this part of us was created by them, but that was mostly, that's mostly the combination of the paradise, of the Creator Son and whom? The universe, Mother Spirit. So, think of it this way. the Creator Son takes the mind concept, or the spiritual concepts, and part of the mind, okay, from the infinite spirit, a combination, and they add it to what? The local universe mother spirit, which controls what? Totally. Mind and physical matter, right? So we have the combination of those two that creates us as humans. There's a mindal part, there's a spiritual part, there's a matter part, right? Now what's on top of all of that?
Personality.
Personality, right? So we have parts of our being from three basic divinities through the Creator personalities, right? Okay? So we have the Father, the Son, and the Spirit, all three of us through that creation. Okay? All right. And, okay, the other thing I wanted to mention about this, that this is the evolutionary ascent to the kindred creature personality, but there are numerous orders of universe personalities. Do y'all see that? So there's a lot of other personalities that are making this ascent like we are that are not mortal. You pick up on that?
Yes.
Okay. And it also mentions here the personality, the deified reality ranges from mortal, midwayer, up to the mind activation of worship and religion through the Maracha spirit and the attunement of finality of personality status. So we start out through the local universe mother spirit with what? The 7 adjutant mind spirits, right? The first 5 all animals have, don't they? The last 2 worship and wisdom we have.
Right.
This allows us to go up to what level? The next level, the midwayer level, right? Now what happens at the midwayer level? We lose the 7 adjutant mind spirits, don't we? And what do we pick up? The cosmic mind. Okay? So if you think about it, the cosmic mind comes from the combination of the Son and the Spirit, right?
The cosmic mind.
The cosmic mind. And that cosmic mind, or the 7 adjutant mind spirit, is an extension of what? That cosmic mind. You think of it that way. And who gives us the the 7 adjutant mind spirits? The local universe mother spirit, right? See how she's been slided so much through time? I mean, it's unbelievable how much she's been slided. Because without those 7 adjutants, can we make this journey? No. That's our starting point. So if you think about it, the creative mother spirit is the daughter of the infinite spirit, right? And so by passing the cosmic mind through the daughter, it turns into the 7 adjutant mind spirits. So we climb the ladder the opposite direction, don't we? We go from the 7 adjutants up to the cosmic mind. And what do we end up reaching? The supreme through experience. Okay? And that cosmic mind comes down to the supreme also. Right? And what's the next step? The Father, Son, and the Spirit. Right? That's our journey to paradise. Okay? All right, let's keep going.
Reality is subject to universal expansion, personality to infinite diversification, and both are capable of well-nigh unlimited deity coordination and eternal stabilization. While the metamorphic range of non-personal reality is definitely limited, we know of no limitations to the progressive evolution of personality realities.
Okay, y'all take a break for 1 second. I have to do something here.
Now, these 7
Adjutants?
adjectives, and we have all 7. So, and all the other animals have like 5.
They don't have the potential for attaining that. They only have the potential to attain the first 5.
So what are the first 5? I mean, I know what the first 5 again. I don't care.
I don't remember them by heart. One
Oh,
is
gosh.
intuition.
No, I don't remember off the top of my head, but there is.
Now, animals have these other 5.
Animals have these other 5. You know the mothering instinct that you see in all animals
Okay,
out here.
got that.
That's one of them. Okay, fear is one of them. You know, or not fear, but oh gosh, 5.
Intuition is one
Intuition is one of them. Can't remember off the top of my head. To be honest. but I'm sure we could find it fairly quickly. I have a slide on it here somewhere.
No, don't let me get off course. I
Okay.
was just thinking about it, you know,
I can't. I
animal
honestly can't
and-
remember.
so that's the only difference. There's more difference, but I'm saying out of the 7 adjectives, mine just say that for me.
Adjective, mind, spirit.
Adjective, mind, spirit.
Yeah,
We have all 7,
we have all 7.
and,
That's right.
and so animals are only liking 2 out of that 7.
That's right. That's
So
right.
doesn't one love, doesn't love be one of them, emotions?
Yeah, all the emotions is involved in them, but it's things like
I didn't mean to
I'm
get
drawing
us
a
off
blank.
track. I did not. I didn't
I'm
know, but
drawing a blank. We can let them up. We have something to let them up real quick. Huh? During our break, we'll let them
If I
up.
had a
Sorry about that.
computer, I'd look it up.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm connected here, and that one's connected back there. But I have charts and charts and charts on the 7 adjective.
and you know, it's just
I'm drawing a
it's so many
complete blank.
quick, you know, when we read and I get to thinking about things.
I know the last 2 are worship and wisdom. That's the most important because it's human. The rest of them, all the animals have too. Some of them are. I know the mothering instinct is one of them. The ghost fear or fear of that sort of thing is one of them. Just a lot of them. Can you find it? Don't worry about it. Let's keep going because we're on a different subject. We'll come back to that, right? Okay. Maybe during the break I'll pull it out. Okay. Find the right one here.
That is, I was just gonna make a comment about reality is subject to universal expansion. I mean, that is just an unbelievable statement right there.
It really is. Think about it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go on.
On attained experiential levels of all personality orders or values are sociable and even co-creational. Even God and man can coexist in a unified personality, as is so exquisitely demonstrated in the present status of Christ Michael, Son of Man and Son of God.
Okay, so let's think about this for a second. On experiential level, all personality orders are associable and co-creational. Okay, so what are they talking about that with men? We're talking about
Associated with
the
deity.
adjuster, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so we're an associate of the adjuster, are we not? The adjuster exists within
It's like a
us.
partner.
It's like a partner. And how is it co-creational? As we get to the point where we fuse with our adjuster, we give the adjuster personality, don't we? What does the adjuster gives us?
Everything.
Everything, deity, right? So, in essence, we go from being just an animal, in essence, at the starting point, to be part of deity and creating a new type of being, aren't we? And that's the fusion of the adjuster and the human, and the human gives the personality, God gives the deity, right? And we get a whole new person with a soul, right? That's what goes into the Maracha being, right?
And we're co-creational here and now as well.
We are co-creational here and now as well. How is that? Through our experience, is it not?
Right.
Well, he's with us everything we do, he's with us.
That's
so
right.
anytime we create, you didn't paint these paintings by yourself.
No,
You and God did it together.
that's right.
It was a team
It,
effort.
it could be experienced from a previous existence with God, could it not? Think about that. When we study the celestial artisans, we'll find out that part of the talent you see on this planet is actually talent that's been passed down through the adjuster from other beings. Okay? So many people that are very, very talented, they have no reason to get the big head, do they? Because that talent may be from a previous existence of that adjuster that's coming through.
So somehow it was easy to you because you've done it before.
You've done it before
in
with the
past
adjuster.
life.
That's right, by the adjuster. What's the other thing? is you can pass down those physical talents from generation to generation in your DNA. So you may have inherited that natural ability for music or art or something from your great-grandparents, your parents, or anywhere back through your history, right? In your genes. So it can be either or both, can it not? Okay, so that's what I'm saying. We have no reason to get the big head because, many times the things we do are this co-creation thing, right? It's part God.
Co-pilots in our life.
That's right. God's the pilot. We're the co-pilots, right?
Hopefully.
And it goes on to say it's so exquisitely demonstrated in the present status of Christ Michael, Son of Man and Son of God, right? How is he Son of Man? He was born, what?
Through a mother and a father.
As a human through Mary,
But it
right?
makes it sound like
Son of Man.
it changed him on a personality level, having been through this hellish boot camp.
That's right.
He
it did.
became another person,
That's
probably
right.
much more empathetic because
Yeah.
when you've gone through a hard time, then you get empathy for others
Right.
that have also started off from scratch. And how can we say that our life is harder than his was?
And how does he do that?
He had a tough life.
Through experience, right?
Yeah.
It's his experiential part, right? So he goes from just being the Son of God, which he already was, right? Then he becomes the Son of Man. He becomes physical, right? Through Mary and Joseph, okay? He was an actual human being. So he gains that experience that he didn't have before, did he?
Right.
So now he's a new, totally different person because of the experiential part of his life on earth. Now, can you take, when he goes back, when he finished his bestowal, and he went back to being the Son of God again, or Michael, the ruler of the universe, did he lose that? No. It was an additive to his personality. So he gained, through experience, being the Son of Man, a whole new value of human existence. Where does that experience go? It goes into the supreme, right? Part of the supreme. And that is one of the reasons that the Creator Sons all go through this experience. Okay? They all become rulers and sympathetic rulers of their own domain by experiencing the life themselves. You can't know something till you experience it, right? It's kind of like having kids. I don't know the experience of having children. So I will have to learn that when I go on to the mansion worlds, won't I? Because that's a necessary part. Now see, many of you already have children, so you've already experienced that. So you're one up on me right now, right, with that experiential part of your life, right? All right, so let's keep going.
You need two more.
No.
Wasn't that?
You need two more children.
Two more
I don't
children.
need no.
Gotta have three. I've been there, done that.
Gotta have three.
That's what you talking about.
Yay!
Takes three. You can't just have one.
I'll come visit y'all when y'all visit.
Let's see. Diane and Linda's gonna have two more. Yeah. Maybe you guys aren't so much ahead of me, are you?
Just wait till you have teenagers.
That's
Wait.
That's it right there.
Just wait.
Two boy teenagers that are taller than you.
Yeah. All right, let's keep going.
Also, infinite orders and phases of personality are associative, attainables, and are potentially co-creational. The pre-personal, the personal, and the superpersonal are all linked together by mutual potential, coordinate attainment, progressive achievement, and co-creational capacity, but never does the impersonal directly transmute to the personal. Personality is never spontaneous. It is a gift of the Paradise Father. Personality is superimposed upon energy, and it is associated only with living energy systems. Identity can be associated with non-living energy patterns.
Okay, this is very, very important.
Yeah, seriously. I mean,
All right,
this blows the atheists out of the water.
it does. By leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
But let's think about this first. Personality, okay, is never what?
Spontaneous.
Is it?
It doesn't just poof.
Now think about this. The life carriers bring the life plasma to this planet and then plant it in the oceans, don't they? Those beings evolve over millions of years, and eventually what pops out?
Will.
Little creatures that crawl onto the earth, right? Those little creatures eventually, some couple, some one or two of them, eventually get to the point where they start to think like what? Like humans, right?
Evolutionary will creatures.
Evolutionary will creatures. Now, when they make that first decision of moral value, regardless of what it is, what happens?
Personality
Personality
comes from the Father.
comes from the Father. Now let me ask you this. Even before then, when that life is implanted into the seeds, it evolves by itself. And creatures will come from that. Do they have automatically personality?
No.
No, they don't. It has to be implanted into them, doesn't it? Superimposed on them, right? That makes sense? Okay, so let me go one step further. Will human beings be able to create life from nothingness? No. They can create matter. They can create combinations of things. You can take cells and you can build organs. You can probably build a whole person. Will that person be a will creature?
No.
Not unless what?
Personality.
Not unless the Father gives it personality, right? So you can build all the people you want without this.
And that's cloning, you know, whatever they're talking about, cloning. And you can't, no personality.
If the Father doesn't give it personality, is it really a being?
No.
No.
Not in the sense that we think. Now, I want to point something out here, right here, okay? Personality is superimposed upon energy, okay? It is associated only with living energy systems. You see that? It's got to be alive. Would a robot ever have personality? Not on any
Only
shape.
what's programmed into it.
Only what you program. It'll spit out information to you like crazy. I saw a movie on the other night, and they've got to the point where you can put a computer together and it will actually answer you, and it seems like it has personality,
Yeah.
but it does not. It just
Hey, Rodney.
responds to questions.
Has
Okay?
characteristics of personality.
It has characteristics of personality. Well, now,
Diane?
identity
Yes.
can be associated with non-living energy patterns.
You
Do you
are.
see that? What are they talking about there? There's beings out there in the super universe we're going to run into that are not do not have personalities, don't they?
Master physical control.
Like the master physical controllers. They may have, well, I don't know if that's a good example. I think they actually do have personality, but the circuits do not.
Right.
I'm pretty sure the circuits do not. So they do what? A function over and over and over again.
Right.
And they seem like they're like every other being, but they do not have this personality part, right?
They can only do what they're programmed to do, right?
They do what they're created to do, basically, just like a robot, right? So we keep talking about on
The next
TV
one
and all
could be
these things, we're going to create a whole world full of robots, right? That's going to take over. Is that a nightmare waiting to happen? Yes, but because it's the personality part that controls us, doesn't it? It allows us, gives us moral fortitude, doesn't it? So if you put something out there that just repeats the same thing, sorry, that
You
hurts,
sure will.
over and
Answer
over
all
and
of our
over and
prayers.
over and over again,
Especially you and your
is
wife.
it going to be a human? No, it will never be a human. Is that dangerous? Yes, because you're making machines that are what? Superhuman, aren't they? They're stronger, they're faster, they're everything you can think of, and you're giving them a certain amount of reasoning capabilities, right?
Right.
Question and answer, question and answer. What would keep them from destroying human life?
Well, that's what Asimov wondered about in iRobot.
Yeah.
So what does that say about the people who want to create a society like
Of
that?
robots. That's right. Yeah.
Well,
it's
for
it's
certain
something to
things,
think
it would
about.
be good to have robots. We shouldn't have miners down there. If we had robots that were doing the
Oh, I agree.
dangerous
yeah.
jobs,
Yeah.
or
I
the
agree.
stinky jobs, since they can't
Stinky
smell.
jobs.
But what's the
well,
most
cleaning
important?
out a sewer.
Yeah. What's the most
No.
important part of that, though? Is control, isn't it?
Right.
Human
That's right.
control.
Doing
All
what
of
we're
it.
telling you to.
That's right.
Going
That's
into a
right.
fire,
That's right. That's right.
using a
Okay.
bomb.
The other thing here. Let's see what else we can. Okay, the pre-personal, the personal, and the super-personal are all linked together by potential of coordinate attainment. So, if we have something pre-personal, what's that? The adjuster, right? The personal, what's that? That's human, is it not? Right? The super-personal are what? Those above human, okay? The next level. So, if you take a pre-personal and a personal and mix it together, don't you think that would create a super-personal? That makes sense?
Honey,
Yeah.
I have to let you know, this is Bill and his wife is getting a kidney transplant. They're on their way to Jacksonville right now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's wonderful.
Yeah,
They've been able to
Bill.
get one.
Oh, they got
They're
it.
doing
Got
it?
it, yeah.
That's
So,
great.
We just want to share you that we'd be off for finishing teaching. So.
No, tell them thanks for sharing that with us. We wanted to know. Did everybody hear that?
Yes.
Saying kidney transplant?
She's getting a kidney transplant.
Jacksonville.
Yeah. That's wonderful.
Miami.
Tell her she'll be in our
Miami.
prayers.
Jackson Memorial, if that's where she's going. Oh, yeah, that's Miami.
Okay.
I heard Jacksonville, that's all.
Oh, Jacksonville?
Jacksonville, that's right.
Maybe I
Oh,
misheard
okay.
it.
Jacksonville, you might be right.
So,
Okay. This is another thing I wanted to mention here. But never does the impersonal directly transmute to the personal.
Right.
So if we create creatures, or if you create creatures, if you think about it, you remember in the Urantia book it talks about once life has been created on a planet, some type of animal life or whatever, the first one that makes that first moral decision and personality is imposed on them, that adjuster, right? No other type of creature is allowed to what? To become human,
Right.
are they? So no matter what you do, the impersonal does never transmute to the personal. So will any other type of being on this planet, a dog, a cat, or
That's
dolphin,
right.
anything become,
Next smartest.
yeah,
Dolphins.
no.
So in other words, if a dolphin had made that conscious decision first, they would have been top on the chain.
Bingo.
Wow.
Except they probably just don't have what it takes to, I mean, they don't have what it takes to master this planet, is their problem.
Yeah.
They have fins and they have to stay in the water where we have an advantage.
I mean, but
Versatility.
right. Well, the thing is, though, we made that first leap of consciousness.
Right.
But if something else had made that first leap of consciousness,
Then we would not be human, we would be whatever type of being that is.
okay.
And that type of being would be,
Experiential worlds.
that type of being would be considered what? Human, right?
Right.
Okay. So, or let's go another, let's take it one more step. If monkeys would have developed personality first, okay? They would be the ones that would be considered humans, and the other half of it, the lemur type beings that developed into the pre-human, okay? They would never develop into what? Personality, would they?
Right.
So we could have all been monkeys.
It'd be nice if we all could have been birds, because I
Yeah, we
would
could have
love
been
to be able to
birds, that's
fly.
right.
I've always
Yeah.
been envious of them.
The whole point is, it is the father's choice, really, when to instill that first personality. And when he makes that choice, he never changes his mind in any planet. Okay? So, when we get to the mansion worlds, are we going to see beings that are not totally similar to us?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, they say they're all biped type beings, but they could look almost like anything, couldn't they?
Now, in our Creator Son's Christ Maker, in His universe, all of us going to have a similar pattern as.
That's right.
But any other Creator Son, his pattern is going to be whatever he.
Okay, it's going to be different. But now, keep this in mind. All of them go by the pattern of what? The infinite Son, right? And he goes by what? The pattern of paradise. I mean the eternal Son. Yeah. And he goes by the power of paradise. So wouldn't it follow that most all beings would be along the same lines, or some type of pattern or variation of
Right.
paradise beings? You see where paradise comes back as the pattern? So we, in essence, are experimental planet, aren't we? But we're a variation of what? The pattern of paradise. That makes sense? So we're not going to get too far off course here. And that has to do also too with the life implantations. The life implantations has a certain amount of DNA, so only a certain maximum number of types of creatures are going to evolve, aren't they? Because that's all that will evolve out of that type of life implantation. Now with the experimental planets, they're able to tweak the DNA a little bit and that sort of thing to get variations of that. But it's still within the pattern of what? Paradise, right? So we're not going to get too far off course. Okay. Okay. Let's keep going. Who's up next? Oh, I think Roy is.
All right. The universal Father is the secret of the reality of personality, the bestower of personality, and the destiny of personality. The eternal Son is the absolute personality, the secret of spiritual energy, Marancha spirit, and perfected spirit. The conjunct actor is the spirit-mind personality, the source of intelligence, reason, and the universal mind. But the Isle of Paradise is non-personal and extrans-spiritual beings of essence of the universal body, the source and center of physical matter, and the absolute master pattern of universe material reality.
Okay, does that not say exactly what's on this chart right here? This is paradise, it's the physical matter. Let's go back to here. Is that not what these circuits are they're talking about here? Okay. The Father is the secret of personality. Okay, that's the personality circuit, right? Right there. The Son is what? The absolute personality in himself, and he is the secret of spiritual energy, Marancha spirits, and perfected spirits. Is that not the spirit circuit? Right? Okay, let's go on. The source intelligence of, the conjoint actor is the spirit mind personality, the source of intelligence, reason, and of universal mind. There's the mind spirit, right? And then it goes on to say what? That all physical matter comes from where?
Paradise.
Paradise. That's that green one, right? Good chart. All right. Let's go back here to the other one. All right. Linda, you want to take the next one?
These qualities of universal reality are manifest in Urantian human experience on the following levels.
Go ahead and take the first one.
1. Body, the material or physical organism of man, the living electrochemical mechanism of animal nature and origin.
Okay, so that's our physiology, right? Our physical part of us, right? Let's keep going.
Want me to keep reading?
No, let's let Don take it.
Number 2, mind. The thinking, perceiving, and feeling mechanism of the human organism. The total conscious and unconscious experience. The intelligence associated with the emotional life, reaching upward through worship and wisdom to the spirit level.
You catch that? We think, therefore we are, right?
Or we are what we think.
We are what we think, that's right. And it reaches up to where?
Spirit.
Spirit, that's right. Through what? Worship and wisdom. So, when we're running around here like a bunch of little animals, if we're not worshipful, right, and we don't show wisdom, are we showing spirituality? No, not at all. Are we any better than the cats and the dogs and the trees and the leaves and the birds and the bees and everything out there? No.
Well, we have more potential.
We have more
When you
potential.
have more potential, you're supposed to do more with it.
You're supposed to do more with it. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Okay, let's keep going. So we understand mind. Let's go to spirit.
Spirit, the divine spirit that indwells the mind of man, the thought adjuster. This immortal spirit is pre-personal, not a personality, though destined to become a part of the personality of the surviving mortal creature.
Okay, so do y'all catch that? The spirit is not ours yet, is it? When does the spirit become ours? When we fuse with what? The thought adjuster, the father fragment, that piece of God. Okay? Now, it is destined to become part of the personality in the surviving mortal creature. So it is the spirit part that adds to what? The soul, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What makes the soul? Personality, spirit, mind, right? And part of matter, too, right? There's part of that in there that they don't understand, right? And what is the big part that comes on top of it? The cosmic mind, right? Cosmic mind helps us create that soul. That soul turns into what? That soul turns into our Morancha being, doesn't it? And when we fuse with that adjuster, then we become a spiritual being, don't we? Now, the interesting part of this is this. We have the spirit of truth. That's a spirit circuit, isn't it? Because it comes from the sun, right? We have the Holy Spirit. That comes from the what? The local universe mother spirit, right? On top of us. What else do we have? We have the spirit of the infinite spirit also, don't we? The Holy Spirit is not of the infinite spirit. The Holy Spirit is of the creative mother spirit, right? So we have the Spirit of God superimposing on us too. We got so many good influences. How can we go wrong?
I don't know, but we sure are.
We do, don't we? That free will choice comes back in, don't we? Right?
Most people don't realize that God's with them every step of the way.
Every step of the way. And we have to make that conscious choice to do what? It's the simplest thing in the
Will
world.
of God.
The will of God. Over and over and over and over again. Right? Okay. Let's keep going. The soul.
The soul of man is experiential acquirement. As a mortal creature choose to do the will of the Father in heaven, so the indwelling spirit becomes the father of a new reality in human experience. The mortal and material mind is the mother of the same emerging reality. The substance of this new reality is neither material nor spiritual. It is Morancha. This is the emerging and immortal soul which is destined to survive mortal death and begin the paradise ascension.
What
Wow.
a beautiful concept, isn't it?
Wow.
That tells you right there what the soul is. It's the what? The experiential part of man.
Exactly.
Which is what? Part of what? The Supreme. So that makes us what? Children of the Supreme, doesn't it?
Wow.
Okay?
Children of God in many ways.
Yes. That's right. That's right. A new reality, it says, in human experience. We become fathers of a new reality. That's what the soul is, right? That's the Morancha. It's the budding of the Morancha self from ourselves. Our mind, our physical part, our spiritual part, our influences of God, and all the other spiritual influences, creating the soul, doesn't it? Okay? All right. That's what goes on to paradise. Okay, personality. Let's see.
Personality. The personality of mortal man is neither body, mind, nor spirit. Neither is it the soul. Personality is the one changeless reality in an otherwise ever-changing creature experience, and it unifies all other associated factors of individuality. The personality is the unique bestowal which the Universal Father makes upon the living and associated energies of matter, mind, and spirit, and which survives with the survival of the Moranchal soul.
Okay, so this is interesting, isn't it? The Father gives us personality, right? It's not part of our mind, it's not part of our body, and it's not part of our spirit. Neither is it our soul. So it's unique for every single person, isn't it?
So then we blame God when we meet unpleasant personalities?
Uh-huh. That's what
No.
we do. That's what we do. That's what we do, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, God's giving us personality, but there's more than one.
But what makes that unpleasant
that
personality?
Will.
Will, choices,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Following the Father's will or not following the Father's
Right.
will. It's the simple choice, right?
Yeah.
So when we meet these unique personalities, do you want to associate with someone who is evil and bad and rebellious and all that? No. because it causes no joy in your life, right?
Right.
Because problems
And you
constantly.
try to fix them, but you can't.
You try to
They
fix
have
them,
to
but you
want to.
can't. That's right. They have to want to do it
Yeah.
Well, I
themselves.
mean, some people like to associate with them.
Because of kindred spirits.
Right. Because they're, right,
Yeah, if you embrace evil, what do you want to embrace?
right.
Yeah.
This,
You know, I was listening. We were listening. We were having lunch yesterday at Zaxby's, having a salad. And I was listening to this gentleman behind me, two young men, and he's talking about his friend's sin. Okay, and y'all know all about the concepts of sin and evil and that sort of thing. And he was trying to convince him the reason he should follow God is because God forgave him of his sin. Okay. And he had this analogy that was quite unique. I'd never heard before. He says, if I take your sin, if your sin is a penny, and I take it out into the middle of the ocean, I drop your sin into the ocean. He says, and then I go back home, I said, and you want your sin back? I said, well, you'll have to go out in the ocean and find it. So he says, when you go out in the ocean, can you find your sin? No. No, right? You can't find your sin. It's in the middle of the ocean. How would you ever locate it? Right? And God forgives sin like this. Well, the whole problem with this whole conversation is this. In order for this young man to embrace a loving, giving father, he's trying to be made guilty of something he's done in his life. Right? You see the error in this? We should want to embrace God because we love God, not because of something we've done, not because of some sin we've had in our life, not because of some fear. We think that God's wrathful and horrible and mean.
Right.
You know, strike us down.
Right.
Not because we're going to go to hell and burn forever, right? These are concepts that are barbaric and they have nothing to do with God.
Exactly.
Right.
You see the problem I have with this?
Yeah.
And
It should be just the opposite. The reason we should want to find God is because we love God and because God loves us. And we want to be close to God, right? And if you want to be close to someone that you love and do what they want, you want them to love you for who you are, and you want to love them for who they are, right? And it works the same way with God. God is nothing but love. So do you think God is vengeful or wrathful?
no,
Of course not.
not now. I mean, and that was my question.
But that's the way we're
coming out
taught,
of the
right?
church. That was my. I always, okay, if God owns everything, what do I have for Him to be jealous of? He's
Nothing.
giving me everything. Why are all these stipulations and guidelines are put in place, and you know that's so contradicted? And
but it's part of evolutionary religion, right?
It's part of evolutionary religion, and that's what we're taught, and that's what we teach our children.
Yeah.
Instead of bringing our children up with the concept that the Heavenly Father is nothing but love. He forgives you of all these things. All these sins you do and you want to stay away from is to keep from hurting other beings, isn't it? It's not just the sin itself, it's what the sin does to you. When you sin against other people and when you do things against other people, it hurts you as much, if not more, than it does the other person. But the tricky part is you have to educate yourself to realize that. And that's what you need to teach children, right?
But even if you were to, like this man said, you know, supposedly, you know, take your sin and throw it in the middle of the ocean and then you can't find it anymore. I mean, that's a fallacy, because if you are sinning, you're supposed to turn away from it and
Turn
not
away
do
from
it
it.
anymore. You can take what you've sinned and you can get rid of it, but if you keep on doing it,
You're doing the same thing over and over and
That's
over
right.
again. You're not learning anything, are
no,
you?
you're
Yeah.
continuing to do the same thing.
Part of the process of forgiveness is regretfulness of what we've done, right? If you are really sinning, doing something against other beings and doing something against society and doing something against God, don't you want to turn away from that? You don't want to do it again because it hurts me, it hurts you, it hurts society, it hurts the world, right? That's why. Why do you think Lucifer's rebellion is so horrible? It's not that he rebelled against God. The rebellion is so horrible, it's the effect it has on the rest of the universe. God has set up this perfect universe, a plan of ascension for all of his beings, and then we have somebody comes in and says, I want to cut it off right here. I want you to worship me. Is that in the plan? No. Is that loving? No. It's selfish. It's the big head syndrome, as they say, right? It's selfish. Is that bad? Yes, of course it is. You know, whenever you become selfish in life, it's always bad, right? So, anyway, it's just an interesting concept.
Better to teach that we have the potential to become at one with God, which then would inspire us all to try to live up to our potential in every way of aspect of our lives.
That's right. Everything, right? Everything we do and say,
Right.
right?
I got one more thing. The last part, the last sentence in there, the personality of the personality is a unique bestowal which the universal Father make on the living and associated energy of matter, mind, spirit, and we survive with the survival of the Morancha soul. That goes back to again survival.
Survival.
We, people think that
You have to make that decision,
right?
don't you, Roy? Yeah.
You have to make a decision. People think that we get he didn't make it here. He's gonna make it on the next level. I just don't see it like that. I don't see these opportunities. We're conscious and we have mind to make that decision now. And just like you say, it's will. If you're not doing the will, then you're doing you're going the other way. So I think those decisions we get to make those decisions right here.
Well, another interesting thing about that, Roy, is this. Do you think this planet will ever reach light in life if everybody postpones the decision until they get to the miniature worlds?
I mean,
No.
No. Yeah.
Well, and there's one paragraph in this book that says basically that when you die, when your physical body dies, they don't automatically, magically make you aware of all the things you didn't know, automatically transform you into a perfect being. We head toward paradise exactly as we are, as far as our achievements,
right.
mentally, emotionally,
Right.
and spiritually.
Pick
And that's
up
what
right
we're
where
taking
you're-
with us. So
Right.
Yeah.
you can't. It seems like a lot of people want an easy way
Exactly.
of achieving God.
Well,
I'm doing what I
last
want
second
to on
I
this
can do
life.
what yeah.
The last second I
I
say,
can
yes, I
change-
believe there's God.
Right.
And then you end up in Jesus' hands, and you don't have to do anything the rest of your life because
Exactly.
you've already done it.
Exactly.
And it needs to be where it inspired all of us to
Right.
achieve
That
our
idea-
potential here and there.
That we all move on comes from the Lucifer rebellion. I was just reading it this week, and that's
Yeah.
exactly what he thought. Everybody just automatically
Automatically
moves
goes on. That's right.
That comes from the rebellion. So that's where that idea comes from.
But people, that's what people think.
Right.
Like you say, we'll.
It's
I know
it's the
people
lie of
that
Lucifer.
really do think that they can do
Whatever they want.
until I got enough time to change. I mean,
Yeah.
I got enough time to say, God, accept me.
Yeah.
I accept you. Blah blah blah. But it's like I say, we don't. It's when we death. If we have made that decision, then we don't get the chance to wake up and say. We don't get the chance to get up and say, well, hey.
We do to some extent. They realize that we're on a lost planet and everything's messed up, and they don't want any of us to fail. So unless we really embrace evil on this planet, they'll at least when we wake up say, hey, you've been really messing up. This is what your life was like. Now you're going to change and become better. And then we choose. So that they're not going to let us choose in ignorance.
Well, it's interesting that you brought up a
That's
point.
exactly what one of his
In the
points
universe,
was.
in the Lucifer Manifesto, that was one.
That was one of his points.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was one of his points.
You
Everybody just
automatically
automatically moves on.
Well, they're pulled that direction. It's like if you're on a
I
barge in a river, you're going to keep going with the
I just
flow.
don't. I don't.
That's
If you
I don't
don't
right.
put a brake on.
That's right.
But some people like to park on the shore and run around
That's
and
right.
Mhm.
check
The
things
chances
Yeah.
of you turning at the last minute, not that it couldn't happen, but if you're sliding down this slope, the chance all of a sudden that you're going to be down here and you're going to say, oh, okay, I become a believer.
out. How many deathbed conversions are there?
Yeah, truly.
When you're faced with the fact that your mortal body is wearing out and you're going to move on, then there's a fear that sets in. And that's when people start to question. And my dad had 2 years before he passed, and he was still an atheist. But he got a lot quieter about it as he had to deal with his own mortality.
Okay, y'all. Let's go one more paragraph, and then we'll stop on energy and pattern here. So let's do this Morancha. What's the next reader?
think it's you that
Morancha is a term designating a vast level intervening between the material and the spiritual. It may designate personal or impersonal realities, living or non-living energies. The warp of Morancha is spiritual. Its woof is physical.
Do y'all understand warp and woof?
It's a
Warp.
Weaving.
It's a weaving
terms.
term. Yeah, one goes one way, the other goes the other. They intertwine each other, right?
To make a fabric.
That's right. Okay, so the Morancha, warp is Morancha and its wolf is physical. So you have the physical part of Morancha with the spiritual intertwined with each other. Okay? Now the other thing about this, it says here is a vast level intervening between material and the spiritual. So this change from the physical to the Morancha is huge, isn't it? I mean, it's the most major change we go through. But it does say that we start up there exactly where we are here, doesn't
At
it?
least in our
In our
thought processes.
thought processes. That's right.
But we better
That's
quit.
right.
Yes.
The other interesting thing about this too is that it may designate personal or impersonal realities, living or non-living energies. You see that? So when we get to the Morancha state, we're going to be awakened to realities that are totally foreign to us, aren't we? Because we have non-living energies, we have living energies, right? We have personal energies and non-personal energies, don't we? So we're going to awaken to a whole separate new world, you know, when we get there, right? Okay, so I'm going to quit
I
there,
am too.
and we'll take it up for energy.
I am
by-
too. You know, that's I really do. You know, I think about it all the time. I was looking at the ground and I was watching a bug that other day for some reason, and I thought about the evolution process.
Uh-huh.
And you know, I said, well, little bug, I thought it might have been like you millions of years. And you know, I saw
Could be an
I didn't
ancestor.
step on it. I just step on it. I let it kick. I let it went on by his business. But you know, it's just that thought, though. You know, wow. You know, we everybody think that, you know, but we came through an evolutionary process. It's like you say, and then the thought and the mind came in, and we made conscious decisions.
Mhm.
But that was over a long period of time, millions of years.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we could have been that little bug. We could have been.
No, we're only thinking about that. You think that the super universe adjudicational system is in any hurry to adjudicate the Lucifer rebellion? No. Because time is no essence.
They
And
said
that's-
more good has come from the rebellion
Exactly,
than
it
bad,
did. Yeah.
simply because it shows
Yeah.
the error of rejecting God, and how
Well-
awful it can be.
My whole point about this is this. We as humans are trying to push and get in a big hurry about all this stuff, aren't we, constantly? And the universe takes its time. I mean, it really does. So anyway, let's say a little prayer, and I'll stop the recording, and we'll have lunch and start our afternoon meeting. So, Father, thank you for bringing us together again today, and thank you for these wonderful people that come and share with us. Pray that you'll be mindful of Bill's wife as she goes through the struggle with her health, and that you might bless them and bless their family. We thank you for giving us the knowledge and the wisdom to explore these possibilities and explore this book, and we pray that you'll spread this news throughout the whole world. We praise you and we love you, Father, and we say this in the name of your Son, Christ Michael, Jesus of Nazareth. Amen. Thank you for joining us. Please come and see us again.
Yes, the little bug got away. I let the little bug go.
Yeah, half the time